Greetings and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews with me, George. Today I'm taking a look at a couple of reissues, re-releases that have come out recently from one of, if not the, pioneering pirate metal band. Not everyone's cup of tea, I know, but generally heavy metal legends running wild. I'm talking about these two articles. Firstly, we've got Ready for Boarding, a live album and a live DVD dating back to 88, I believe, when that was originally released, or 89 roughly. And this wonderful item, First Years of Piracy, which is effectively a best of and a compilation of re-recorded material. This was done in 1991, I believe, and it only covers the content from the first three albums and a couple of B-sides and extra bits and pieces from around that period. So, running wild, pirate metal. Really, they only really started to explore the pirate theme with their classic album Under Jolly Roger, which is generally considered to be the first sort of great pirate metal album, and is just an absolute stormer of an album. I absolutely love it, and I think it's definitely their biggest album, if not their most, certainly one of their most well-known tracks. So talking about the material then, we've got these two lovely digipacks that just come out not that long ago on BMG Records or Noise Records, and these are two really great collector's pieces. I don't know if you can quite see behind me. I love Running Wild. So from here with the debut, Branded, and Gates of Purgatory, I do beg your pardon, up to the latest album, Blood on Blood here. There's a few gaps, of course, these have just come out of the collection. I love Running Wild, and I will probably buy any little loose end pieces that they come up with because I'm such an avid collector. I just can't help it. So we'll take this one for starters, shall we? Ready for Boarding. So we get here a live CD, which was from a concert in 1997, November, live in Munich. And we get a DVD. I admit I have not seen the DVD yet, but it is called Death or Glory Tour, live in Dusseldorf, October 1989. Just show you the back there. Hope you can see that okay. So this comes across less as a live album, almost more of a bits and pieces tying up loose ends kind of release, as you've got one show on CD and then one on DVD, but 2 years apart. But it's a really lovely article, I have to say. And as I previously mentioned, it just covers the material from Under Jolly Roger and previous albums, Gates of Purgatory and Branded and Exiled. 3 great albums, and the show itself is really good. This is a brilliant live album. I'm sure that it's been remastered and reworked and polished off, touched up here and there. I'm sure it has, but that's not quite the point, because this is Running Wild, German heavy metal legends doing a bloody great, noisy, heavy show. Exactly what we want. And they don't really have another live album in their catalogue. And I think this is a really good place to sum up and kind of define their early catalogue, early years, but with a bloody storming good show. And it really is a good show. We get tracks from across the board. Opening up is the hymn of Long John Silver, which is basically just an intro piece. You get cannons and you get, you know, all the general typical pirate things. Sounds of the ship. I don't know. But the main sort of starting point here is the classic track Under Jolly Roger, which is such a catchy tune. Massive riffs, great sing-along chorus there. It's a brilliant track. If you are a heavy metal, power metal fan, that is one track, if you've never heard of these guys before, there's one track you need to check out because it is just a really great, memorable tune. Heavy, riffing, just bloody good stuff. We get a few tracks from the album as well, a few more from the Under Jolly Roger album. Raise Your Fist, and we get Raw Ride. Those two tracks in particular, I would say, are very rooted in the Judas Priest groovy, heavy metal, swaggering style. Two brilliant tracks, really uplifting stuff. As I say, very heavy, amazing riffs there. Rock and Rolf's vocals, top form, I have to say. He's a great singer, great frontman, brilliant tracks. And you get a few other little gems thrown in there. You get Genghis Khan, Mordor, a few other pieces, not just the pirate metal stuff. Diabolic Force, Adrian SOS, very short, sharp, heavy track there. The closing track is the amazing Prisoner of Our Time, which is monumentally catchy, absolutely as infectious as an STI. It is so memorable from the off. You can't help but chant along to that chorus. So brilliant. Real little gem you get here is a track that they say on the intro to the song there. It's dedicated to the PMRC. It's a very anti-established religion and censoring track, Purgatory, which is actually a non-album track. I didn't quite realise it was a track that wasn't featuring on any of the first three albums, but they've dug it out at this point, did it live, and it's a really great track. It's a very heavy metal track. It sounds rough and ready. It's just a really good heavy song. Sounding as good as it does on here, you wonder why it wasn't on an album. But as a little gem thrown in here, it's a great thing to hear. A really bold step, including a track, certainly just after Under Jolly Roger had come out, throwing in a non-album track on their live set, I think is a brave thing to do. But this album, Ready for Boarding, is a great place to start if you want to hear some of the great stuff from those early years. Having said that, this is probably more of a fans piece, Running Wild fans, existing fans. If you haven't got this, you haven't heard it, you probably should, because it is a really good album to hear. A better place to start, I would say, for someone who is unfamiliar with Running Wild, but likes pirates, likes heavy metal and power metal, this little piece. This is, as I said, a compilation of re-recorded materials. So they've taken some of their favourite tracks and a few more, slightly more obscure pieces from the first three albums, and they re-recorded them, repackaged it as the First Years of Piracy. And it even says on here, back on CD for the first time in 30 years. So BMG, or Noise Records, have reproduced this one, repackaged it, and it's a lovely thing. The booklets are really nice, and the whole digipack packaging is really nice with these. BMG or Noise, they've done great with all of the early era of Running Wild, the reissues there, and also with bands like Tankard, there was Gravedigger, Voivod. I really like this stuff. I think if they can dig out a few more of these sorts of bands and these hidden gems, then that would be great, because I just can't help but throw my money at it. It's perfect. Tying up those loose ends, filling those gaps in the collection. So this, I would say, as I've mentioned, if you're not familiar with them, this is a great place to start, to check this out and get a good feel for their early catalogue, because it is really heavy. The whole thing sounds very tidy. It's not rough and sketchy. It's not overly polished or anything like that. It is just good, raw, heavy metal without being so distorted and scratchy that really it sounds like a bootleg or a demo. No, this sounds very clean, but in a heavy metal sense. It's raw. But some absolutely killer material here. You get Under Jolly Roger kicking off the album there. You also get Branded and Exiled. You've got the title track of that great second album. You get really heavy numbers, Soldiers of Hell. So catchy, so memorable. The hooks are massive. Raise Your Fist, you're treated to that number again, and that is such an uplifting, fight the powers, fight your parents, go and rock regardless kind of uplifting message there. It's brilliant. You get a track here, track number 5, Walpurgis Knight, and that is actually a non-album track. It was a B-side from one of the singles earlier on. I don't think it was a single from Under Jolly Roger. I think it goes back a little while. But that is a great track. Really good, darker track. Reminds me of like a Merciful Fate, King Diamond kind of sound there. Really good. Definitely not a track to be missed. Because of course, if you've only got the studio albums, you wouldn't have heard that. Although I do think that all of these tracks appear in the bonus tracks of the BMG Noise Records reissues from the last few years, which I've got here. In fact, we'll settle this debate before the end of the video. Yes, Gates to Purgatory. We've got the bonus track, Walpurgis Knight, brackets, The Sign of Women's Fight. 12-inch single B-side. Okay, there we have it. I think it was actually the B-side from Victim of State's Power. I think that's where that one comes from. For some reason that seems to stick in the mind. I've probably looked it up recently and forgotten. So what else do we get here? We get Fight the Oppression, a really good track. In fact, what album was that from? Fight the Oppression, is that another? No, that's from Branded and Exiled. I for some reason thought that might have been another non-album track. Diamonds of the Black Chest, really great track. Again, that's a Under Jolly Roger album track, but really good. Raw Ride as well. Prisoner of Our Time. Marching to Die. Really good stuff. It's fantastic. So you get a few treasures thrown in there as well. It's not just album tracks. You get a few of the best sort of B-sides and singles thrown in as well. A really good album. I really like this. I've listened to it quite a few times now in preparation for doing this review and prior to that as well. So if you're not familiar with the band, not familiar with those early albums maybe, not sure if pirate metal will be your cup of tea, start with this. Start with this, and if you like this, you'll need all of these, and then you'll want to tie up those loose ends with this. Absolutely. So there we have it. Recommendations. You check these things out. First Years of Piracy. Ready for Boarding. Running Wild. German heavy power metal legends that they are. Still going strong. Still heavy as hell. Check them out. Hope you like the review there. Hope you like the recommendation as well. A like and a subscribe is always very much appreciated. Check back soon, my friends, for more reviews and word of all things heavy. Take care. Stay heavy.